Mr. McPace, who ran the store there on Main Street, their daughter was a beautician, and she had an upstairs beauty salon up there. And when I was young, and I remember before I graduated from school, that I got my first permanent from Uva Pace. She used the rollers on it and hooked electricity to the rollers, and your hair was curled by electricity. And if she wasn't careful, she would let it stay up too long and your hair would be kindly almost burnt. But I remember she gave me my first permanent wave, and I paid her $5 for it. She ran that beauty parlor for many years, but you felt a little bit shaky knowing that she'd hooked electricity to the curlers, but no one seemed to ever be injured or hurt from it. My father farmed, and he grew a lot of corn. He had close relatives, and most people at that time that lived on the rural area, they grew corn, and in the fall of the year they would gather their corn and haul it in with a mule and wagon and pile it in a long heaping pile. In the fall of the year, the ones who was interested in having a corn shucking, they would exchange work with each other, and they would gather in and shuck corn all day, and their wives would cook good country food and had a long table in the dining room. It was covered with good food for the ones who were happened to do the shucking. And back at that time, my brothers or somebody would have maybe a pint of whiskey, and they'd sip along sometimes on a little bit of that whiskey. They wouldn't get drunk, but they'd drink a little bit of the whiskey while they were shucking the corn. Then my father had a corn crib, and they would put the shucked corn in the crib. And then whenever the other relatives were ready to have their shucking, they would repeat practically the same things. The ladies, the wives, would cook and serve a lot of good food for the ones who were having part shucking. And back at that time, we had agents who would come around to your home with home remedies, who would have items that you could buy for minor sicknesses. And my mother used to buy mentholatum and different kind of home remedies that you could buy from the agent. And lots of times in the summertime, they would be people who owned peach orchards. They would visit homes and bring peaches, and you had an opportunity to buy some of those peaches for canning. And many times my parents would buy 2 or 3 nice bushels of peaches. And some of the children and my father would peel. My mother would do the canning. We had a wood stove at that time, cook stove, and she would cook the peaches in a big porcelain dish pan and canned them for the winter.
Did you learn to can?
Well, I helped my mother with the work, but she was the main one who filled the jars. I grew up on the farm about 2 miles from Saluda, but I have, like Saluda, relatives that were dear to my heart, and a church life. And I just love the location of Saluda. We have mild weather, we have good neighbors, and it's just home to me, and I've never desired to live anywhere else.